Hi, this is a very special episode of Editor's Notes with me, Cy Williams, on understanding grief. As many of you know, my father passed away after a life very well lived, and cancer took him pretty fast. So fast, in fact, that I had to say goodbye to him on the phone. And even then, I spoke to a very heavily medicated man who was in immense pain. And I can only hope that he heard the sound of his son trying to say goodbye to him through that haze of drugs and the deep ache of whatever he was feeling during those last hours. I'll miss him terribly, and I have been grieving. And in that grieving, I have been seeking out more information on the grieving process, because between you and me, grief can be all-consuming. And no two griefs are alike. Losing my mom a few years ago absolutely gutted me, but losing my dad has redefined what I thought grief was. I've experienced a real tower moment losing my father, and that tower that fell had grief written across it with giant neon capital letters, and it hits like no other emotion. I can say that. Now, grief is a natural response to loss, and it can manifest itself in many different ways. It's important to understand that grief is a unique and personal experience, and there is no right or wrong way to grieve. Everyone's experience with grief is different, and it can be influenced by a variety of factors, including the nature of the loss itself, the individual's personality, cultural background, support system that's in place. So grief, I've discovered, is not a linear process, and it can involve a range of emotions, including sadness, anger, guilt, anxiety. The process of grief often involves several stages, although I understand not everyone experiences these stages in the same way or in the same order. The most widely recognized model of grief was developed by psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and it includes 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. It's important to note that this model is not a rigid framework, and not everyone will experience all of these stages. It's important to take self-care during this time and to heal from grief, because healing from grief takes time, and it's important to be patient with yourself as you move through the process. I'm trying to do that. Here are some self-care strategies that can help you cope with grief. First, allow yourself to feel the emotions. Grief can be overwhelming, but it's important to allow yourself to feel the emotions instead of suppressing them and pushing them down. This isn't going to help anyone. This can help you, though, process your loss and begin to heal. It's important to seek support from others. Talking to friends, family members, or a therapist can help you feel less alone as you navigate through your grief. People like this can provide a listening ear and offer you guidance as you work through these complex emotions. Grief can also take a toll on your physical health, so it's important and very important to take care of yourself during this time. Now, this can include getting enough sleep, knowing when to sleep, eating a healthy diet, and I know it's difficult, but exercising regularly. Establishing a routine can also provide a sense of stability and normalcy during this difficult time. Now, this can include things like going for a walk every day. That's what I've been doing. Setting time aside for self-care activities like bathing, like long baths, and smoking a little bit of weed. You can honor the loved one as well, your loved one, and that can help you find meaning in your loss, and it can help keep their memory alive. Now, this can include things like creating a memorial or making a donation in that person you've lost's name. Now, grief studies. There have been many, many, many studies on grief over the years, and researchers have found that there are several factors that can influence the grieving process. For example, Research has shown that people who experience a sudden or unexpected loss may have a difficult or more difficult time adjusting to their loss than those who have had time to prepare for the loss. Additionally, people who have strong support systems tend to have an easier time coping with grief than those who do not have this support. And it's also worth noting that cultural factors can influence the grieving process. For example, some cultures have specific rituals and traditions focusing all around death and mourning that can help their community members, family members cope with the loss. Understanding these cultural differences can help people navigate their grief in a way that is meaningful and healing for them. Now, as for me, I'm going to keep cherishing the time I did have with my father and my mother and figure out how to live in a world without either one of them in it. It won't be easy. I'll tell you that for free. Okay, that's it for me right now. We have a brand new issue of High Europe magazine that's dropping this month, and I'm very excited about that. And then we have a very special International Women's History Month issue, and that's issue number 95 of High Canada magazine, also dropping later this month. Don't forget to subscribe if you have learned anything at all during this video. That's it for me right now. I'll see you later.